Light on, what's exciting in Brighton, and who's doing inspiring things in Manchester and Sheffield. All will be revealed. Light on, a journey of discovery through Bristol, Hull and Coventry. What's cool in Liverpool, you'll see. Scintillating cities and stunning countryside. Strap in and enjoy the ride. Light on, with Hazel as your guide. Light on, strap in, enjoy the ride. Light on, with Hazel as your guide. Light on, strap in, enjoy the ride. Light on, with Hazel as your guide.
Hi everyone, my name is hazelmillichamp. This is the Light on Leeds podcast. This is my special series where I spread the light a little wider than Leeds. So this series is called Light On, and on this episode I have the author Philip Cumberland, who remotely connects to speak to me. He talks to me about his book Killing Time in Cambridge, which involves AI and medieval knights. Quite fascinating. He talks to me about the Fens, Cambridge, his creative writing group, and the University of the Third Age, which was interesting to listen to. Have a listen and see what you think. On this episode of Light On, which is the series of Light on Leeds that spreads the light a little bit further, I have Philip Cumberland, who's come online to join me. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Hazel.
It's really nice to speak to you, Phil, because, full disclosure, we've known each other online for a really long time. We can't work out how long, but I think it's got to be at least 10 years.
It must be getting on that way. It's very kind of you to invite me.
Well, it's lovely to be able to speak to you in real life. And you've come along today to talk about, you wrote an amazing book that I've just begun reading, Killing Time in Cambridge. For everybody at home, can you just explain a little bit what the book is about without any spoilers?
Yeah, it's about a detective called Cyril Lane, and he's known to everybody as Arnold from the Pink Floyd hit Arnold Lane, which is going back an awful long time. It shows how old I am. And he gets involved in a case where it starts off where there's a building's attacked by first off by a knight going into a building looking for somebody, and he smashes up the office, and the chief executive or the managing director has a heart attack. And the next day, the building's bombarded while he's in there investigating the first thing. And it just sort of progresses from there. It's a labyrinthine plot, and it involves time travel. And it started off because before I knew anything about quantum computers, I'm going back to about 2010 when I started writing it when I was still running my business, and then I got so much work to do I just didn't have time to continue. But when I retired, I did. But at that time I wondered if it was possible to have a processor which was non-binary, so that it was in a dozen states at the same time. So I didn't know about quantum computers then, which are in an infinite state. Tell me to shut up if I'm boring you.
No, carry on.
And from then on, I had the idea of using time travel, and it's based in Cambridge and in the Fens. So it's a bit difficult to sort of categorise without sort of giving too much away. But it's a local lady who's also an author categorised it as an old-fashioned whodunit with a touch of AI and time travel involved. I think that's probably a reasonable explanation.
It definitely is, because I started reading it and it gets into the action really quickly, which I liked. Yeah. So you straight away like gripped, and you can't work out, because it's like your ordinary detective procedural kind of, mystery novel, but then some other element comes in that you've sort of touched upon, time travel and AI, which is absolutely fascinating. And there's something really great about having those two genres sort of smashed together, which I really like.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. I had one lady. She wrote on my blog. She said I made the mistake of reading the first chapter. She says then I've had to go and buy the book because she read it on. I read the chapter on Amazon, and she gave me a really nice review. Another author actually, Alex Craigie, I think she writes under. I've just bought her books to have a look at them.
Yeah, well, I read a few of your reviews, and on a famous book selling site that shan't be named, and you've got some great reviews, and everybody sort of feels the same way. It must be really lovely for you. Did it feel? It must have felt like a great achievement in the first place, finishing the book, because, like you said, you hadn't really had time to pursue it. But then once you were finished, it must be nice to get that kind of feedback.
It is because for a start, well, I write for myself, and if I take the view that if it moves me or I enjoy it, then there's going to be a load of sad old gits out there, because they think the same way and they've got the same interests. But when it appeals to people who are not like that, and they get enjoyment out of it as well, it's brilliant. And there's as much pleasure in that really as anything, getting people actually enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't mean to put you under any pressure, Phil, but quite a lot of the reviews mentioned, I haven't got to the end yet, but mentioned that there's an opening for perhaps another novel
Yeah,
featuring Detective Chief Inspector Lane. Is that on the cards?
it could well be. At the moment, I'm working on a story about a Fenland private eye. I'm a great fan of Raymond Chandler, who wrote the
Yeah.
Philip Marlowe stories, and I just love the way he writes. So I thought, well, I'll perhaps write about a, a private eye, but I'll base him in the Fens.
And people have commented as well on that about how lovely it is if you're from the Cambridge or the Fens to read a book set there. And do you think it's an important part of the book that that it's set where the place that you know?
I think it is really because I've got a great affection for the place, as a lot of people have. I do like Cambridge. It was, the cover photograph I took just as the first lockdown was ending, and I left the house at 5 o'clock in the morning. I got to Cambridge just before 6. I think it was something like 3 minutes to 6. And walked into the middle of Cambridge, took the photos, took 2 cameras in case I had a problem, and I was back in the car and away at 3 minutes to 7. And I think I saw about probably no more than a dozen people walking from the car park into the middle of Cambridge and back, which is unusual. It's really, seeing it that time of the day and seeing so few people about. But I love doing the research. I like, we've got a guided bus system from a town called St Ives, so I used to park in there, then get the guided bus. Apart from when I went and took my photos, it's great for me. I just walked around Cambridge doing the research, and it's a place I've always had a great affection for. The same with the Fens. I've lived in Cambridgeshire all my life, different places within Cambridgeshire. Huntingdon, I grew up in, home of Oliver Cromwell.
Ah.
Yeah, he's brought up there as well. Well, he's born there as well. But it's another thing that interests me. Really, I'm sort of quite interested in what he did, because there was, it was such a sort of negative attitude towards him, and I thought, well, I'll dig a bit deeper. And when I learned more about him, okay, yes, he was warts and all, but he was a very interesting character.
Yeah, definitely. And isn't it true that that phrase that you've just said, warts and all, doesn't that come from the fact that at that historical time, lots of leaders, especially royalty and things like that, would have their paintings. I suppose it's a little bit like using filters these days. They'd have the artist make them look like a better version than perhaps they were. And then there's that. I mean, I'm not sure how much it's one of those things where if you were on QI, you would get the big alarm. But I'm sure that's where that phrase is supposed to have come from, because Oliver Cromwell refused to be painted to look better than he was, and insisted on being painted warts and all.
That's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah. If you they've got a museum in Huntingdon, the Cromwell Museum, and there it's in there that painting of him. He's got these tremendous warts on his face,
Yeah.
and he's big. He, he was a great believer in the truth. That was his. He didn't. I mean, that was really why I'm digressing now. That's why Charles I lost his head, really, not because he was anti-royalist, but because the bloke was so duplicitous. He wouldn't tell him the truth. He lied and tried to mislead him. That was his downfall, really.
Yeah, we could do with an Oliver Cromwell type figure these days, because not to get too political, but there are some comparisons that could be drawn with the way you just described it.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And so you obviously really enjoy the writing process, and like you've already said, so there's a historical element to your book. There's also the sort of detective procedural element, but there's also AI and like you said, time travel. So that must have been a huge wealth of massive subjects for you to have to go away and really know your stuff about.
A lot of it's what I've absorbed over the years. It's and read, I suppose. I didn't really have to do an awful lot of reading research, so to speak. It was more sort of wandering around looking at stuff like that. I'm very fortunate. I'm in a writing group where we've got some really talented people. And they're able, they help me with the proofreading and the corrections, and it was a collaborative effort. A chap I go cycling with, he is a pilot, so he was able to help me with the flight plan and tell me about things like Hobbs meter and stuff like that. And the airfield where part of the action took place, we've been there on cycling trips to sample their bacon sarnies. Yeah, it's that element I enjoy as much as anything.
It must be great to be part of a writing group, because the life of an author can be very solitary, can't it? So can you tell me a little bit about the writing group and how you came to join that?
Well, I joined the U3A. Excuse me. I joined the U3A when I retired and saw they had a creative writing group. I had started writing Killing Time engagements at that point. It was Bernard the Twelvicator to start with, as a working title. Anyway, the first meeting was in a little cafe in Whittlesea, next to the library, and there was just two other ladies there, and one was the leader, Wendy, and she said hello, and we introduced ourselves, and she said, I brought on a couple of chapters from a chapter from my autobiography that I started writing, and I read it through, and I said, crikey, this is brilliant. I said, you must get it published. And she goes, oh, I don't know really. I don't know. Anyway, from there, we gained a few more members. I think we've got about 13 now.
Mhm.
And it's been really great. And eventually, after about 2 years of bullying, we got to publish a book. I helped her, with the cover on it and proofread that for her and along with another lady. And it's been great. But the greatest moment of all was when we had our first anthology published, and I brought it in to the brought the proof copy into the meeting and handed around. The one lady there, she just leafed for it to find something she'd written.
Oh.
And I can see her face now. She was so pleased, and she was 75.
Oh.
And she said, I never ever thought I'd see my name in print. And, it was worth everything, just to see how pleased she was
Yeah.
and because she'd been put off by writing. She used to write as a child, and somebody was reading stuff, somebody wrote like Enid Blyton. She suffered a lot of way then, she said.
Oh.
And it's only, when she started writing the group, and it's lovely. It was really one of the moments I should treasure forever, really, just seeing her face. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. And did you say that your writing group have now published 2 anthologies?
Yeah, we published 2 anthologies. I always struggle with this one. It's Where the Wild Winds Blow and A Following Wind. The Following Wind's a little bit easier. And then we've got a couple of Christmas anthologies that we're just about to kick off with. One for children, one for adults. And just collections of short stories and poetries, that are related to Christmas. A bit of a job getting in the Christmas mood in sort of March and April when we started.
You should have started in September because most of the shops start then anyway.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to get it done. We've got an open meeting in October. We've got some authors coming there. Apart from the group, we've got. I don't know if you've heard of any of them. Eva Jordan, Tony Forder, and Alison Bruce. Alison Bruce and Tony Forder write crime fiction, and Eva Jordan, she's just started to get into that. She's written some beautiful sort of, I don't know, sort of family sagas, really. But she very kindly reviewed our first anthology, and I took it round to her because she was in the same town. And I said, well, can you review this for us, Eva, and put it in the local mail? She said, yeah, I'll do that. She said, but can you take mine, she said, and review mine for me? She gave me a book. And she said, you probably won't like it, she said, but if you don't, give it to one of the ladies in the group. So I thought, crikey, you're much of a salesman, gal. Anyway, I read it through and I thought, crikey, this is really, really good. I wouldn't have picked it up off the shelf. And it was all the colours in between. It's sort of second in a 3-part, in a trilogy. And it was so good. So I wrote a little note and took the book back round to her and saying how good it is and what a rotten salesman she was. And she said, oh, it's made more day. She said, I've just got a parking ticket, she said, and that really bucked me up.
Oh, well, it's nice that you can be, give reciprocal reviews. And it's great to get feedback from people that you respect anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all lovely people, that we know. And it's, our writing group is a cooperative adventure, really. We all work together and look after each other, in in writing terms, you know. And
Yeah, that's really
supportive.
nice to have that writing community. And you mentioned that that writing group is part of the University of the Third Age. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is, Phil?
Well, it's an organisation for people who are no longer working. It's not age related, but most of the members are older, um, and it's a social and educational group. You know, within our um, can't quite think of the right word. Our branch, we've got 31 different groups, and there's all
Hmm.
sorts of things. There's Spanish, Italian, there's creative writing, local history, cycling, table tennis. There's a whole range. There's sewing, knitting, um, card making, and there's people that they have a Sunday lunch club, theatre clubs, cinemas, and it's a wonderful organisation really for for people, and it helps those who are on their own. You know, people who are isolated because of their lost partners, and because at our age, that's what happens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased that I joined it. You know, I do. I'm in the cycling group, local history, and creative writing. I could I could be out every day of the week. You know,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, when we
And
don't.
were you able to sort of stay connected online during COVID? You know, when everybody was sort of locked down, was it helpful during that period?
The cycling group, um, on occasion, it was just me going out because I write a report every week.
Oh, nice.
And then when we could have two or three of us went out, and then when we had six, but we're now sort of back to more or less normal. The writing group, we managed that on with Zoom meetings, but it's not the same as actually meeting people in person.
No.
The local history group, we just had to stop. And we're just trying to we were using the room in the library, so we've got um, internet access and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's a great organisation. You know, there's something there for just about everybody, and if there isn't something there, you can always start the group yourself because there's bound to be other people who are interested in it. I mean, somebody just started a photography group and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And so, Phil, you obviously absolutely adore the Fens and Cambridge. And I have three questions that I always ask every guest. The first one being, what would you say is great about the Fens and Cambridge?
the Fens, it's the skies. There are nothing like, well, you only get 360-degree skies out at sea, but the sunrises and sunsets are absolutely brilliant. You know, every one when it's not cloudy is different, unique in its own way, and they are absolutely spectacular. Cambridge, I just love the city. Really, it's compact enough, and then to wander around and see quite easily. The um, the university buildings are beautiful. There's a wealth of museums there, so much to do and see. And if you're of a certain age as I am, bus pass is absolutely brilliant.
I'm lucky enough to, I've never visited the Fens, but I have visited Cambridge, and you're right, the buildings are just absolutely stunning.
Did, did you? What did you do? Did you have a wander around Cambridge and see the universities or?
Yeah, my partner at the time, his dad, he'd actually been to Oxford and Cambridge, and yeah, we were passing through. I think we'd been to Guildford, and
Oh
we were
yeah,
passing on the way back, or we'd made a detour. Yeah, and we went to look around, and he was showing his old college and things like that, and it's just magical. You can't imagine it. It's almost like something from Harry Potter.
yeah. Do you, I don't know if you noticed on some of the fronts of the buildings, they've got statues with people with the buildings in their hands.
I hadn't noticed that.
No, well, they are the statues of the founders.
Oh.
I didn't know that. But I've sort of been on one or two. Well, I went on one particular tour around Cambridge about the Cambridge spies, and that was really interesting. That was, about Cambridge's connection with into the intelligence services, and some of the famous spies that on both sides.
Oh, I bet that would be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, they do quite a number of events in Cambridge like that. Yeah.
And if somebody had been a long-term resident of either the Fens or Cambridge, would you be able to tell them about something that you would consider to be a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Well, that about the buildings really is about it. But there is in Huntingdon there's the Falcon Inn, and that used to be the headquarters of the Puritans. Cromwell's headquarters. They're still there. I think it was called the Falcon in those days. And in Cambridge, there's the Eagle Pub. That's supposed to be the oldest pub in Cambridge, and that's where Watson and Crick announced the discovery of DNA.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, if you go in there, you've got one or two themed menus, the DNA menu, etc.
And if you had to choose something that's not so great about your area, Phil, what would you go for?
I don't really know, to be quite honest. It's sad that so much of the things like the rail network have been destroyed. There is bits of it still about, but so much has been taken away, and that's a shame, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Phil, I'll just ask you, what will you be doing for the rest of your day today?
What I'm going to be doing is I've got to go and get some paint for the kitchen, take the van over to Ramsey so my son can use that for his motorbike, taking his motorbikes out this weekend. That's about it, really.
Just a nice chilled Friday afternoon then.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, thank you so very much for coming along to speak to me. I'm really enjoying the book, and I will definitely let you know how I get on with it. And I'll put lots of notes in the podcast notes so that people can buy your book and read all about killing time in Cambridge.
That'd be absolutely lovely. Thank you very much indeed for asking me, Hazel. It's been a pleasure.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Hazel.
It was brilliant speaking to Philip, especially seeing as we've known each other online for such a long time. That's the first time we've spoke to each other, I suppose, semi in real life, as it was over the internet. But yeah, great to catch up with him. Do check out his book, Killing Time in Cambridge. It's a fascinating read. I haven't got to the end just yet, but I'm very much looking forward to getting to the bottom of the mystery. Check out his other books as well. He's got lots of things coming out. I'll put links in the podcast notes, as always. The featured song on this episode is the fantastic PG Ciarletta. He is from Kirkcaldy. He's a brilliant singer. This song is called The Sesh, and I think that you will enjoy it very much. Have a great week. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
And who's doing inspiring things in Manchester and Sheffield? All will be revealed. Light on a journey of discovery through Bristol, Hull and Coventry. What's cool in Liverpool, you'll see. Scintillating cities and stunning countryside. Strap in and enjoy the ride. Light on with Hazel as your guide. Light on, strap in, enjoy the ride. Light on.
mind's turning in circles. You don't know where to go. You don't know who to phone. You've taken plenty of knocks on. Your chin's about to back in. You don't know where to begin. You sent yourself to the doctor. She sent you on to your shrink. She'll check how you think. When you go out on Friday, it turns out a Sunday. Before you know it, you're going home and it's Monday. You never overdosed. You went for one or two, then it turns to a few. Then you look at your phone and you know you should be happy. Your mates comatose. You end up session with randoms you'll never see again. They're all fake friends. You're drinking away with gadgets. They're just at the jail. Remand, not bail. My mind's mixed with emotions, no guilt and guilt. I wish she kept. When you go out on Friday, it turns out a Sunday. Before you know it, you're going home and it's Monday. You never overdosed. You went for one or two, then it turns to a few. Then you look at your phone and you know you should be happy. Your mates comatose. You'll give yourself a scare. You'll find out who cares. When you send yourself back home and you're sitting there alone. And who's gonna back you up and take you back to the top and put the pieces back together and stop you having a proper meal? When you go out on Friday, it turns out a Sunday. Before you know it, you're going home and it's Monday. You never overdose. You went for one or two, then it turns to a few. Then you look at your phone and you know you should be happy. Your mates comatose. Your mates comatose. Your mates comatose. Your mates comatose.